There is meaning elsewhere, but the experience is here. My grandmother was such a impactful voice in my life. One of my most treasured memories with her was when we took the train down to the city. So I was sitting next to her on the train. At the time, I was working through something with a friend. We thought we were going to write a musical together, and I was thinking through some lyrics, thinking about how the layers of metaphors would work out, and I was just very esoterically in this space in my brain. And we get to a stop. She starts spitting out these words that I don't even understand what she's saying. There's like a little shopping center outside of the train window. One of the storefronts has a name on it. And she starts going, Rizai fish, Rizzy fish. Like she starts pronouncing it all these different ways. And I'm like, I'm up in my head. I'm all esoterically figuring out this big metaphor of the next big, like, Jesus Christ Superstar level musical. And I, like, roll my eyes. I kind of look down at her. What are you talking about? Like, like, real life, earthly stuff are you talking about right now? And she kind of, like, laughed it off, like, I thought it was interesting. Like, oh well. Was not bothered by my, self-righteous, like, how dare you bother me with such piddlings of this stupid reality when my head is like, I am thinking about much more intellectual, cerebral things right now. So we get down to the city. We do our, the errands that we needed to do down there. I don't remember specifically that particular day what we were doing, although we probably stopped at the restaurant that we always used to stop at around brunch. They had the most amazing tomato soup. Like, it was like real, like, homemade chunky tomato soup, and some really good, like, 3 cheese grilled cheese on, like, this really thick sourdough bread. Really yummy. Sometimes we would get an omelet, but that tomato soup with the grilled cheese was like the best grilled cheese and tomato soup on the planet. Another thing we always stopped and used to get on the way back to the train was these smoothies. There was this cart at the train station that, like, did fresh smoothies. One of the things she got me on a kick on, it was like celery, cucumber, and ginger, really fresh tasting veggies and fruit. It all kind of circles back around how delicious and real that was. It wasn't esoteric or cerebral at all. So we get back on the train and we're heading back home. And at a certain point, there is this guy on his cell phone. And this was early 2000s. Not a lot of people were on their cell phones, especially on the train. This guy, it sounded like he was rattling off insurance rates. Like, it was just talking about the most boring thing on the planet. I was just like, numbers, or I cannot describe how painfully boring what this guy was talking about sounded. And it was so loud and invasive. I just, like, rolled my eyes and I put my head on my grandmother's shoulder. She whispered to me, the Rizzy fish doesn't sound so bad now, does it? That just broke me. That filled me with a sense of wonder and humility that was so beautiful. And we started laughing. We were cracking up. We both understood how ridiculous I was being before, how kind and generous she was being, that to allow me to be that sophomore of life, wise fool. The recognition that what I thought was once boring was nowhere near boring, and how beautiful and wonderful life can be. This was all going on, I truly believe, in both of our heads as we were just cracking up. We were just in the moment. We were so 100% in the moment and enjoying each other and the absurdity of what this life is that we missed our stop. Our stop was one stop before the end of that particular line. We realized we missed it, and so then we got off at the end. We called my dad, and he picked us up. And we couldn't even explain what had happened. It was too much, and it was too much of a moment that we shared together. After that, for a while, whenever anything would be slightly off, or somebody would ask a question about something, my grandmother would be on the other side of the room whispering, "It was the frizzy fish." But I would crack up. It would look like I was the crazy one. Nobody understood what was happening. Finally, we did explain it to people and let them in on the joke. And ever since, Rizzy Fish has had a dual meaning in my life based on that experience. It is both a reminder not to take yourself too seriously. It's like stop and smell the roses, but even more than that, it's to really just recognize and relish in the absurdity of this life. Yeah, things are boring. And in fact, that's the other um, sort of definition that I use when I mention Rizzy Fish. I mention things being boring. Oh, it's just Rizzy Fish. Like, it's so boring. It's like the guy that was talking on his phone. It's just so Rizzy Fish. But yeah, life is filled with really boring stuff. She and I would talk about often about, especially as she or I were going through difficult times, we would talk about how real this experience feels, and how foreign that feels to our soul. This experience that there is nothing more real than this, and yet still feeling like it is so foreign, like this is not actually reality. This feels so real and yet so surreal. This is not where our souls are from, that feeling at least. There is meaning elsewhere, but the experience is here. And the Rizzy Fish always reminds me that this is the experience. It's not always going to be fun, but damn, is it absurd. We might as well laugh. And it is so worth laughing about. So I hope you find the Rizzy Fish. I'll talk to you later. It was the Rizzy Fish.